Alrighty, my friends, this is it. We are down to the last 12 hours of this Duramax giveaway. Only 12 hours left to get entered. Giveaway ends tonight at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Every $3 you spend is one entry to win this truck. And if you don't want to win the truck, you can also pick the $15,000 cash. First link down in the description box below. Good luck, everybody. I am definitely going to miss that thing. Good old reliable, never once had a problem. Alrighty guys, let's get our Evo 10 back on the road. A few days ago we pulled the transmission and tore it all the way down. Yesterday I went through, upgraded the final drive, fixed the center differential, and got it completely reassembled. Now today, it's gonna go back in the car. We're gonna get this thing back on the road. So this thing's all ready for the transmission to slide right back in place. Never pulled off the clutch, it's all lined up. It is a brand new ACT Mod Twin, which is, by the way, my favorite clutch in the entire world. That thing holds like 900 foot-pounds of torque, and it feels and drives like a stock clutch. If you haven't used an ACT Mod Twin yet, I would highly recommend. Let's transport the transmission over to the transmission jack her up, slide her in, and move on from there. Well, I now know what it's like to be 30. I was sleeping 2 nights ago, and I hurt my back sleeping. So let's hope we don't hurt it more by carrying this big old girl. If I had to pick it up off the ground, that would be a bad day. This should be a fairly simple install. Motor's tilted down already toward the driver's side, toward the transmission side, so transmission can kind of go in at an angle, which will help quite a bit. Subframe is completely up and out of the way. As you can see, once it lines up, it just slides right on in, which is exactly what you want. From here, I'm going to toss in a bunch of the bell housing bolts so the motor and transmission are mated together. And then we need to get that passenger side, driver side motor mount installed. So when we pulled the transmission, I removed the studs for the side mount. Now, it's so much easier to get everything lined back up with the studs out. Put the stud through the mount, thread it into the transmission, tighten the nut, and you're done. See how easy that is? Definitely pull the studs when you pull the transmission. Makes life so easy. So the transmission is in, all of the bell housing bolts are installed, driver's side motor mount is on, and we are ready for the transfer case. Now this is what I like to do as far as gear oil for the T-case. We're going to be running the OEM SAE 90, and while the T-case is out, I like to dump it in the tail where the drive shaft goes. This works especially well if your drive shaft is still in the car. I'll show you why here in a sec. So even though it doesn't take a full quart, we're going to put a full quart in it for now, and then we'll spin the wheels while the car's on the lift. Go ahead and pull out that fill plug and let it drain to the proper level. So what I did is put the gear oil in the T-case, lifted it up, inserted the drive shaft into the tail of the T-case, and crammed it on the transmission. Now that works a whole lot better if you actually put that fill plug in, because if you don't, well, guess what? It all leaks out, all over your face, all over your shirt, all over the ground. So put the fill plug back in. I'm ready for the subframe assembly, but before this goes in the car, let's bring it outside and give it a good old pressure wash. right, so here's the plan for the subframe. We're gonna jack it up nearly all the way. Let's say 2 inches from all the way up. And then we're gonna go ahead and connect the power steering lines. If it's all the way up, it's really hard to get to the fittings. And then we're gonna put it all the way up and get this right here, this mount bolt pushed through. And then we'll do the subframe to frame rail mounts. That line is on, that line is on. Let's get that in between there and slide through the bolt. That right there is the best sound in the world. Bolt sliding through. Alrighty. From here we have the 4 subframe bolts. I thread each one in a little bit and then I'll go back through after all of them are in and torque them down to spec. If you tighten one right off the bat, you probably won't get the others in place all that well. All right, let's go ahead and finish up the driver's side. First thing to go in is going to be the stub. Now make sure you install it with the threaded portion sticking out. Now the CV axle goes on. And then we're gonna take this assembly, pull it out, install CV axle, and set it down onto the lower ball joint. There we go. Ball joint bolt goes through, tie rod goes on, CV axle nut goes on, and this side is done. So up top, all we need to install are the shifter cables. There's 2 wiring connectors, vehicle speed sensor, and maybe like a reverse sensor or something else. Clutch master cylinder, put the intake back on. But before the intake goes back on, we need to fill the transmission with its gear oil. It's easiest to do from the top. The Mitsubishi fill plugs on the front, pain in the butt. If you just pull out a sensor, put a little funnel in there and dump it in through the top, way easier. So if you pull out that sensor right there, which is located right there, pop in a funnel, dump in your red line cocktail. I put all 3 quarts in at first. Same concept as the T-case. Fire the car up, throw it in gear for a while, shut it off, let it cool, pull the fill, let it drain. Transmission gear oil's in, transfer case gear oil's in, power steering fluid is in, everything is tight. Let's fire it up. Come on, baby. Now this thing runs on straight ethanol, so it always takes a bit to fire. Probably all the gears, give it like 5 minutes of just spinning those axles and get everything in the T-case and transmission moving around. And then I'll shut it off, let it cool, and pull out both of those fill plugs on the transmission and the transfer case and let them drain until it stops draining. Then we know our level on both are good to go. Now I did check to make sure the transmission works outside of the car, obviously, but in the car. Let's see if it will actually spin the wheels. Beautiful. Don't mind my rotors flopping around. Second, third, fourth, fifth, reverse. Now keep in mind, we're gonna have a light on the dash for the AYC system. We do need to bleed that out. That's very simple to do with the Autel scanner, which I'll do that later on. Let's do the T-case first. So it's this plug right up here. And then for the transmission, it is this plug up front. All right. Got old girl warming up outside, and Piston and I are gonna go test out this new transmission. You ready, buddy? Let's go for a rip. Come on. Sit down, bud. Sit. Alrighty, let's go see how this new transmission feels. Sorry, I don't think my AC works. Let's do a quick test. It might actually. Yeah, there's no way. I never charged it up when I put this motor in. Well, that didn't grind before. Let's do a test. If I go slightly forward and then reverse, it doesn't grind. So we are gonna go on a quick drive. I do still need to bleed out the AYC system, ACD system, active yaw control, active center diff, whatever you want to call it. I need to bleed that system out still, but that's not going to change the drivability of this car at all. Verify that all the gears work. How is this new ratio going to feel? Lay down, dude. So far so good. Fourth gear, fifth gear, everything seems to work. You know, it's been a while since I drove an Evo 10, but I can definitely tell these gears are spaced out, lengthened, at least a decent amount. You good? I might do one light pull to see how things are. Obviously can't go too crazy with my dog in the car. All right, 1/3 gear tip in. I tried to do a pull in the Lambo once with piston in the front. Wasn't the best idea. So right now we got a 68 mil turbo on it. It's a little bit more laggy than I would, prefer. But if you just keep her high RPM and you can shift and row some gears, she'll stay lit just fine, which works well for the track. Obviously for the street, it's not ideal, dude. But yeah, it seems like my transmission is fixed. I'm gonna grab some oil real quick at O'Reilly's, some engine oil, head back to the shop, get this thing on the lift, do a quick oil change, pull the plugs, bleed the AYC. Are you supposed to call it an AYC or an ACD? I don't know. Bleed that system and just get everything ready to go for the next track day, next track event, so we can just head on out, load the trailer, head on out, and go have fun. Yeah, I definitely did not grind like that going in reverse before. After some miles, it's probably not a bad thing to flush this transmission out either. I'll probably put, 200 miles on it if it makes it that far before this motor goes out. But being how much aluminum was floating around that transmission, there's no way I got it all out. Even though I tried, there's gonna be more, I bet. Autel scanner out. Let's go ahead and connect this thing to the car. And then I'm assuming we're gonna have to add quite a bit of fluid. Reservoir on the 10s for the AYC system is in the trunk, if you did not know. Somehow it's still full. I guess we didn't lose all that much fluid. I know this probably doesn't help you guys out if you don't have the Autel scanner. There is a manual way of doing it. It's kind of a pain in the butt. You do have to do it with 2 people, car up on the lift. Kind of a long process. I'll see if I can't throw a link down below. I know someone did a write-up on it once. I would show you guys, but this way takes about 2 seconds, and the manual way takes probably 30 minutes. So on the Autel scanner, all we need to do is go into the AYC ACD system, go to special function, and air bleed. So they have a selection for ACD air bleeding, you guys see that, and AYC air bleeding. First up, let's do the ACD air bleeding. Okay. Okay, executing. So we're gonna let this run, and then I'll do the AYC system, and we should be good to go. Fresh oil change, fresh set of plugs, bled out AYC system. Let's do one more scoot around the block to make sure that AYC light stays off the dash when I'm just sitting here. All the modes work, the tarmac, gravel, snow. So we should be in the clear. Alright my friends, that is going to be a wrap on the day. Transmission seems to be good to go so far, other than that little grind going into reverse, which isn't the biggest deal in the world. I'd rather have it be reversed than any other gear. Not exactly sure what went wrong there. Only thing I can think of is some metal shavings are stuck in that synchro and it's just causing it to grind a little bit, which maybe when I do a transmission flush it'll take care of that. I didn't mess with the reverse gear whatsoever, so I don't think I installed anything improperly. Well, I know I didn't, but yeah, not a big deal. A little bit annoying, not a big deal. Whenever we put a built motor in this car, I can easily just pop that transmission case back off, and I'll probably just go through all the synchros and replace all of them at that point. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Stay tuned for tomorrow. I plan on going for a little test rip with Bobby in the car, get a reaction. I'm not sure what map the car is on right now. I should probably check, but I think it's on like a 40-pound map. I'll have to double check before I blow it up. I'd rather blow it up at the track. All right, goodbye.